Hey, this is not an ad. Just wanted to let you know that this episode will contain some exotic nature sounds from the Bronx's finest birds. Enjoy. What up, what up? I'm back at a new age. I'm 30 now. Yeah, I'm a little older than the last episode, so that's why I was away. I was celebrating my life and just appreciating quality time with my wife and in the great outdoors of Pennsylvania. But I'm back now, and this episode is called Me Versus Me, and it's inspired by the verses we witnessed about 2 weeks ago, Brandy versus Monica. And, I was watching it and enjoying it, probably much like you all were, but I also saw something very interesting about it. And we all kind of picked at it and made jokes about it, but I wanted to bring it full circle to something that I've been experiencing recently. So that's what this episode is going to be about. So when I say I was enjoying the battle, I really meant that I was enjoying my company and just hearing songs that I haven't heard in a long time. They didn't bring it. I don't think they brought it. They were sitting. They weren't really singing. I don't watch a lot of Verzuz. The last one I watched was the one in Jamaica, and they were definitely standing. I don't think there was any chairs in that room. And so I guess I was expecting a lively experience. I'm not going to lie. Watching this Verzuz was a lot like watching the live action Lion King. Like, I'm sitting there and I'm happy to see Simba and Nala and everybody and just enjoying that nostalgia. But it was trash. It was trash. Like, I stayed because it was like, oh, I know these songs, I know this part, I know what's up. But it was actually trash. It wasn't good. Wasn't proud of it. But yeah, I didn't think this Verzuz was very good, but I learned something on this episode because some people thought Brandy threw more shade verbally than Monica. But this episode is about their body language and what I received after watching this battle. I will say, though, I am a Monica fan. She is one of the first women that I had a sexual dream about as a child. And she showed me things. And so I went in to this battle rooting for her automatically. For other reasons than that, she has an amazing voice. I love how effortless her voice is and how powerful it is. But I can see why people don't always think that type of talent translates into a hit. So I'll admit Brandy has more hits than Monica. But Monica won this Verzuz because of her energy. So I'm sitting here, I'm watching this battle, and I see Monica's energy is like she's in her own world. She's in a bubble. She also has some heavy attitude going on. And then I look over at Brandy, and she's like Bubbles from the Powerpuff Girls. She's giving me Bubbles energy. She's just like eyes wide, smile from ear to ear. If it wasn't a table between them, Brandy's the kind of friend who has her hand in your lap while y'all talking. And it's like, it's weird, it's just kind of weird. But Brandy has this energy where it's just like, she's just showering you with love. And it was uncomfortable to watch, but there was something really familiar about that energy she was putting out. I'm like, watching it, I'm like, who's like that? Who's the type of person that puts so much effort out in showing people love and support? Because again, this is how I saw it. I know people saw it as her being shady and like it being fake, but I saw her energy as being genuine and her truly loving Monica and wanting to really put things, whatever that they've been through in the past. And I'm watching her energy and I'm watching her do this and I'm watching the energy not be reciprocated. And I'm like, yo, Brandy reminds me of someone. And that someone is me. I'm Brandy. And I was taken aback. I was like, oh shit. I be doing too much. Now when I say I'm like Brandy, I don't mean exactly like Brandy. When you think of what I'm saying, put it on a spectrum. My hand certainly isn't in anyone's lap ever. I'm a married woman. So fire for that. But I can sometimes exude an energy that doesn't match the energy that I'm receiving. And I'm learning more and more about that as I'm pursuing a secret dream of mine that's no longer a secret. So I'm recently putting myself out there and showing the world, my friends, and my family what I want to do. And when they were doing what they wanted to do, I was Brandy and they were Monica. And maybe that's why in my mind Monica won, because her energy was an energy that I admired. Now that I'm in the position that I'm in, I don't aspire to be a nasty person, and I don't think that Monica was necessarily being nasty, and I don't think that anyone who didn't reciprocate the same energy to me while I was being maybe overly loving, or exuding an energy that we weren't matched. I think what you were being was honest. And I don't fault anyone for that. But I found Monica's energy to be super admirable. And I also found Brandy's energy to be like a mirror, almost for me. So I don't know if anyone out there watched this Verzuz like that, but maybe this episode will help you think about it like that. And if you're that type of person who just puts too much of yourself out there and you're not getting even half the percent of what you put out in regards to people, I think I advise you to make some adjustments. And watching this Verzuz definitely made me change my tune. I'm less of a Bubbles now. I'm gonna be more of a buttercup. And I got green nail polish on now. I think green nail polish is gonna be my regular thing, just to remind me that I'm allowed to have Monica energy. I'm allowed to have a buttercup energy where it's just like strictly business, strictly giving you what I want to give you. I'm allowed to do that, and again, like, I'm not mad at nobody who gives me the energy that they want to give me. You are exercising your right of freedom. But I am going to move accordingly, and I'm going to learn a lesson from this. And so I think this battle, I wasn't entertained very much by their performance, but their body language taught me something. And I'm going to take that. I'm going to manipulate my energy a little bit more so that I'm not hurt in the end. And if you're listening to this and you're reflecting and you're thinking about a situation maybe at work or with your friends or in a creative space that you share with people, and you're putting out an energy and support for people, and then when it's your turn now, you're not getting that energy, maybe you should consider making some changes on like how you move. This is easier said than done because it always takes more effort to change what's natural to you. So if you're a person that's just supportive and loving and all this stuff, and now you have to kind of put these restrictions on yourself, that's going to be hard. That's going to be hard. You're going to be out here looking like Brandy for a while, and so will I. But it's a skill that we could practice and we can get better at. And I think that we'll feel better, not initially, but later. Because if you're like me, I'm big on principle. And there's some there's some hurt that comes with putting out that energy and not receiving it. So when you adjust yourself and you adjust who you give that energy to, and you receive what you deserve, because now you're only dealing with the people who reciprocate the same energy, you're now being rewarded. So now it becomes easier to change old habits. So for the people that have Brandy energy, my energy, Bubbles energy, I like referring to Bubbles from the Powerpuff Girls, because y'all ever notice like how Bubbles will have an idea and they'll overlook it because she kind of ditzy, but then by the end of the episode they kind of embrace her idea, but she just keeps like, she never checked nobody on that shit. Yeah, let's stop being those people. Let's surround ourselves with the people that truly support us, and maybe they don't look like the in crowd. They don't look like the cool people. Maybe they don't align with the ideal people that you want to be seen with, but fuck that, yo. That's egotistic as fuck. And that's not the laws that I move by. That's not a lesson that I'm learning. But that might be a lesson that somebody out there listening to this episode might be learning. Maybe you want to be surrounded by a certain demographic and you're being hurt now because that demographic looks a certain type of way, but they don't match your core values. As you need to adjust your circle. Adjust your circle, adjust your energy, and, maybe our paths will cross, and maybe we can big up each other throughout our journeys. So make the adjustment, because there are people that are like-minded like you. There are people that will share the same energy with you. There are people that will sing your song.